War? Huh? Yeah. What is it? What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Especially if you're an emu. That's right, an emu. And I know you're probably thinking, well, what do emus have to do with war? Well, guess what? You're going to hear the story of how the emus became the 50 Cent of the animal kingdom. And you guessed it, the Great Emu War. Let's get into it. Picture it, Australia, 1932. You're a soldier who came back from World War One, and the Australian government offered you some land to farm to, say thank you. Now, just imagine that this land they gave you to farm is inhabitable. And so you have to irrigate and make this land yours to work to produce wheat, which the price has now slipped because of the Great Depression. Now imagine the government saying, hey, we're going to give you subsidies for said wheat, and then they renege on the whole deal. Now, on top of that, picture emus coming in and wrecking your fences and ruining your wheat, and your whole livelihood that's not even being subsidy now has gone down the drain. That is what happened before the war. The first shots were fired by flightless birds with no arms. So yes, these savages tore through fences, went over fences, and wrecked. And I do mean wrecked, destroyed. Be gone all their wheat. There was about 20,000 a number for them, because apparently what happened was this little bit of Emu 101. So pretty much the emus like to go coastal to breed, and these farms happen to be in the way of said traveling to breeding area. And hey, there's free food just right there for the taking with irrigated water. So the water's right there. So they went to work. Now, of course, rabbits got into the food and destroyed their crops, and I can understand the situation at hand. But hey, you're right in the middle of their food source. What you expect to happen, bruh? The farmers obviously were not too pleased with our feathered, flightless friends and went to the man. And no, I'm not talking about Becky Lynch. And no, I'm not talking about the nature boy Ric Flair. I'm talking about the defense minister, George Pierce, and they asked him for machine guns to handle some business. So Pierce agreed to these things as long as the military personnel were using the weapons, the West Australian government flipped the bill for transport, and the farmers came up with the chingle for the ammo and provide food and board. The reasons for the Ministry of Defense going for this is unclear, but what we do know is a camera crew from Fox Movie Tone was there to get the goods. So, the first attempt, November 2nd, it went laughably bad. So, they were armed with 2 Lewis guns and 10,000 rounds of ammunition. And a mob, as we call a group of emus, a mob of emus was spotted out of range. So the farmers decided they're going to try to corral them, but they didn't study Mykel's Emu 101 class, because emus form mobs. But in these mobs, they have a group leader who's on the lookout as they do their business. When danger is spotted, the leader gives a heads up, and they scatter and disperse into smaller groups. And that's exactly what happened. They broke up and they scattered. So out of the 50 that were spotted, generously, we'll say 12 were killed that day. After the disaster that was the first attempt, they tried it again 2 days later. This time they got lucky. There were 1,000 emus in the area and they were spotted. And these emus just so happened to be migrating towards the shooters. Now, it was like what happened as the emus got close enough. The shooters are only able to kill 12 emus before the gun jammed. And their leader, GWP Meredith, was like, no, this ain't gonna work. And he pursued these emus for 6 days. He fired 2,500 rounds of ammunition and estimated kills between 50 and 500. On November 8th, Pierce, remember our Secretary of Defense here, Minister of Defense here, he pulled the guns and military personnel talking about this ain't going to work for us. And Meredith's on record saying that, and I quote, if a military division had the bullet carry capacity of these birds, it could face any army in the world. So just think about it. If we had emus, we might have won all these other wars just like that. Why? I'm going to tell you why in a couple seconds. So, the farmers weren't too pleased about that. They begged and they pleaded. I'm talking about, ain't you proud to begging for the military to come back, which they did on November the 12th. By the 13th, the next day, they had killed a total of 40 emus. Oh my God, so exciting. And then by December 2nd, the soldiers were killing about 100 a week. By the 10th of December of 1932, Meredith was called back again, having used, you ready for this? 9,860 rounds to kill only 986 emus. This conflict started with 20,000 emus and it ended with 19,014. Each emu took roughly 10 bullets to kill, which is why, I call them the 50 Cent, the animal kingdom. 50 Cent took 9 bullets, had to have life-saving equipment. Emus took 9 bullets or were still kicking and ticking. 1932. Tell you something about yourself. It took roughly 2 months to kill not even 1,000 birds. So needless to say, the emus won this war, and they won it hands down. The soldiers were mocked, and they were left in defeat. And remember, a lot of this was caught on video for the cameras for propaganda purposes, because there was rumor that a lot of farmers were talking about seceding from Australia, and so people have got to see their disgrace on the newsreels. So before you pick a fight with any animal or any being, make sure that these animals or these beings aren't about that life. These emus are clearly about that life. So you know what? Y'all managed to evade the humans and their guns, take 10 bullets to the body and keep ticking. You know what? I got something for you. It's called 2 kudos, MySpace style. Kudos for you. That's the Great Emu War.